Welcome back, everyone, to more Betrayal at Krondor. Alright, let's get back to it. I think we need to go back over this bridge and get to town so we can sell some stuff. Locklear struggled to make sense of it all as the enemy advanced. His concentration was in two places, in his legs, making certain of his stance and balance, and on his opponents, wondering how they had been able to track them down so quickly. All such thoughts were quickly forgotten as the enemy charged into their ranks. So I've been doing a little bit of research on my Betrayal at Krondor to get things under a little bit better control, and there's a lot to this game. One thing that's worth mentioning, as you damage an enemy, especially a melee fighter, their abilities to damage you back are greatly decreased. Where's Owen's... Does it take... I guess it takes stamina to cast. Oh! You got blinded. Don't let him get away. Oh, that guy's dead. Mommy! Mommy can't save you, Locklear said. For a long moment he stared at the dead opponent, pulse pounding in his veins as he waited for yet another to come on, teeth bared or blade flashing, but instinctively he knew that they had won this fight. They were safe for the moment. Ooh, yeah. So monsters are also limited. There's no random encounters, but as you traverse back and forth over certain places, you may run into them they're supposed to be there from the scripting. In other words, these guys won't be back. I'm going to be using mainly this map here to traverse the area. We're going to be doing some backtracking too to go look for things we may have missed in the first video. No one's home. The house's occupant was talkative. Careful not to divulge any details about their trip, Locklear steered the conversation towards the townspeople. Everyone here's fine folks, all except for Michele, the healer. Hope you're not planning on visiting that bitch. Why? Locklear said. She's a snake, he said. Told me I was going to die, but you know what? I got better. Oh, I felt horrible enough for 3 or 4 days, and I thought I was going to die, but no, I made it through alive, I tell you. I think she and Orno are the payoff some kind of deal. He's giving them some kind of contagion, and then she's administering it some kind of phony medicine. It's indecent. Okay. I'm not sure if that's a quest. So let's sell all this stocked up stuff. Another thing that we didn't go over is you can tag certain skills to help them go up quicker. And you can tag as many as you want, it looks like. But as you do that, it reduces the speed in which any particular skill goes up. So you want to kind of focus that. So say we're going to repair weapons with this guy, which we've already done on his inventory. We would want that weapon craft highlighted. He's at casting. think for Gorath, since we're selling and repairing, we're going to leave that. But for Locklear, we're going to go ahead and do melee accuracy and defense as well. And so we have all this good stuff to sell. We might as well swap that. I don't think we can sell... Oh, the Mordhill Lamprey weapons. Yeah, there's only one place where we can sell these, and they're worth quite a bit of money. So we'll get to that later. $315 plus 5 minus 5. Again, I've already repaired all this as much as we can. You always want to repair your stuff before you sell it because it gives you more money. Money is important in this, especially in the beginning. And what we can do is, I think maybe we can do this all in inventory while we're here. Alright, well, maybe some armor. We'll switch to armor craft. Again, make that highlighted. There we go. We got a point out of it. Now, I'm pretty sure this stuff maxes at 100%, so it's not going to fly up there. We can go and swap that out, get the better armor. Always keep the best armor and sell the lesser armor. Your sword looks a little beat up there, sir. Alright, that's all the armor sold. Got him up to 52%. I'm not sure if we can, if we have any swords we need to repair, but let's find out. A little tedious. I won't always be showing this. The next, from here on out, I'll probably just do this off camera, but just wanted to show you as it is part of the game. Oh, you know what? I think we need the, we need the whetstones to sharpen. I'm sitting here trying to use a armorer's hammer on a sword. We should probably actually not use those swords because they're worth so much money. So I think I'm going to... There we go. We got our weapon craft up to 55. And then when you're done doing all your repairing, go back to the skills you're going to be using. I don't have crossbows yet, but we do need to get them for our characters because apparently they're badass in this game. Oops. Well, you can hold on to those anyways because I'd rather have more open inventory on Gorath. Restoratives. I wonder if maybe we should give everything actually to Owen to sell after it's repaired. Because he's going to be the one that's going to have the haggle skill. Let's try that out. Haggling might only be for buying. Doesn't look like we get to... Don't think selling gives you anything, so I guess that doesn't matter, yeah. That's our caster. You stick to casting, big guy. Always check your food. If it's rotten, get rid of it. We just... Stacks of 14 looks like what you get for your rations. Lockpick, shovel, a couple torches, and a loot. And that's how shopping works. Let's do some backtracking here. Well, let's finish exploring these houses. Locklear rapped on the tavern door. When it was apparent no one was coming to open up, Locklear shrugged. Well, it would seem the common folk have taken Prince Arutha's laws to heart. Doors only open from midday to midnight, he said with a sigh, but I suppose someone had to ensure the farmers weren't drinking when they should be in the fields. Sometimes he really takes all the fun out of life. So we have our tavern there that is closed. By the way, couldn't help myself. Had to get into some Krondor. I know I'm supposed to be playing Pose of Eternity, but, you know, had to mix it up a little bit. Don't want to completely forget what I'm doing here. Let's check this temple out. Whoa! Incense swirled, striding between the columns of the temple Locklear made for the heavy wooden doors which had been sealed against the daylight and which preserved the privacy of any ceremonies in progress. Pulling a tasseled rope which hung next to the door, he awaited the response of the door warden. The fire was cold. Unnerved by the now natural flame, Locklear decided to explore elsewhere. The meditation chamber was spot and strangely cold, seeming all the colder for the heatless flame which burned in the holy censer. The only bow that had been made to the adornment in the temple appeared to be the strange pattern that had been etched upon the wall. Locklear pulled the curtains aside. The rear section of the temple was as dramatic as was the meditation chamber. A large pool occupied the center of the lush courtyard and was hemmed in on all sides by an alabaster peristyle with climbing vines. Cloistered immediately off the open area were several arches, doorways either blocked by heavily woven curtains or choked with clouds of obscuring incense. Nearby, a gong sounded, and immediately a priest hurried out of the doorway, halting as he caught sight of the unsuspected supplicants. Acolytes escorted them. After passing through a maddening series of arches, they were finally led into a large chamber upon whose floor a seven-rayed star was formed in a mosaic by dark blue tiles. A small priest stood in the symbol of the center, his back turned toward them. "We are looking for the high priest of this temple," Locklear said. "Would you know where we could find him?" "I am he." As the man half-turned, Locklear suppressed a gasp at the priest's hideous visage. Stuck to the left side of his face was a dark brown strip of cloth, a ragged hole torn in it to allow a pinkish-looking eye to peer out at them. "What is it you want?" he wheezed, his frame shuddering with each breath. "Are you new acolytes?" "No," Locklear swallowed with some difficulty. "We are travelers." "As all under the heavens are," the man said, making a feeble gesture at the vaulted ceiling above them. "All travelers, please, let us talk a while." When at last many of the candles in the chamber had burned low, the priest nodded his head. "I have enjoyed this," he said quietly. "As have we," Locklear replied, graciously rising to leave. "Oh, before I forget, where was that interesting statue that you mentioned?" "The Oracle, in the hills to the east of Malek's Cross," the priest replied. "Perhaps your journeys will take you there soon." We can get cured and blessed here, but I'm not spending the money to do so right now. We also have our teleports, which I'm not sure we can access. The design was odd. "I see the mandala interests you." Turning, Locklear noticed a thin young man standing in the archway, his hands hidden in the folds of his robe. While the relations between the temples and the new Academy of Magic at Stardock have been cool, it is one of the treasures they have passed on to the Serani magic. It has given us great mobility. Mobility? Locklear asked. How can a painting help you move? The acolyte smiled. It would be easier to explain by example. Tell me a place you're familiar with, a place where you've spent a good deal of time. Locklear shrugged, describing the place he had grown up, the layout of rooms, the various things associated with his home. Very good, the man replied. As you describe those things to me, doubtless you have experienced certain memories, though, which you're able to relive your past. In the same way, these mandalas help us locate a place. By memorizing a pattern painted on a wall or a specific temple, we may will ourselves there. I could think my way home with this. No, the memory of your home would be too unfocused for you to make the attempt, but if you were to memorize this pattern, you could return here by recalling its image in your mind when assisted by the power of another temple. Locklear looked back at the mandala, lost in thought for a moment, his eyes soaking up the intricacies of it. I assume there would be some fee associated with moving between locations. The acolyte nodded. As simple as it is a concept, it still requires a great deal of effort to move even a single individual, though I am told that the Serani Great Ones move about with less effort. I believe Pug wished to restrict our knowledge of this in some ways until we have proven we will not abuse its power. A bell sounded. Abruptly, a dark-robed priest swept into the room and came to the halt behind Locklear. I was alerted that you might desire to use the mandala. Desire, perhaps, but I haven't seen any other symbols, Locklear said. I don't suppose you could go with us. I am regret that I cannot assist you, the priest said. My duties require I stay here to guide others that wish to arrive. I am sorry. All right, so we got to visit these different temples so that we can will ourselves between locations. Oh, time to loot those bodies. Good thing the wolves didn't get to them. Holy shit, it's dark. Buckley gritted his teeth. While they had agreed the box should be open, he was privately concerned the previous user might have left an unpleasant surprise. Oh, but he didn't, and he found a shell. Shades of blue and alabaster chased one around the other surface of the spiral shell, winding tighter and tighter until the colors became an indistinguishable blur toward the center. While such shells were not entirely unique, they were sometimes collected and sold by poor peasants. Okay, well, I got 74 of them. I guess. And we got some pole dudding. No one ever knew when he came or went. Shall we dig up this grave? No, I don't think so. I mean, we could save and then start digging up some graves. Let's do that. I mean, it does look fancy. Weed walkers, the strange elven footwear, was far too dainty to suit his taste. Dyed bright green and trimmed with thin cord of gold, they were obviously intended as someone to be worn within boots or moccasins. Intended as something to be worn. Interesting. Can affect player statistics. Okay. Well, now I'm finding shit digging up graves. I'm going to dig up all of them. An hour passed, covered with grime and grave mold. Owen distastefully flung back the heavy lid of the coffin to look in its contents. Immediately he retched as a thick ammonia scent billowed up from the coffin's corrupted remains. Just a body, he gagged. Baby Erisa. A week she cried before she slept. Of course we're digging up a baby grave. Smoke seeped from the earth, backing away from the defiled grave. Owen watched in horror as smoke began to whirl into a sparking maelstrom. You disturbed a baby's grave. I'm not sure we can blind a ghost, but I'm sure shit gonna try it. Gift of Song is a healing spell. Whoa. Oh, the ghost is gone. Despite the fact the creature had disappeared, he was wary to drop his guard, but a quick survey of the area revealed that it was nowhere in sight. I think it's gone, he said. Let's get moving again. Alright, Gorath's accuracy melee ability has increased. Locklear should have got some defense after getting his ass whooped. Alright, so disturbing grays might get a ghost summoned on you, but hey, we needed the experience, man. Standing waist deep in the hole, Owen opened the lid of the pine box with the tip of his shovel. When at last it was open, his face contorted with a look that was a mixture of relief and disappointment. That's strange. No body. Aglis Soggin. Another helping put him 6 feet under. And these are poisoned. Not taking those. All right, let's continue searching around for goodies. Rough in its construction and banded with iron. The Mordhill box would be impossible to open without solving its wordlock, and judging by the marks on the face of the chest, others had learned the lesson after much difficulty. Korath scanned the runes embossed on the Mordhill clue plate, its text their only hope of opening the difficult wordlock. He gets short when he gets old. He goes out, then it gets cold. Trying to figure these out without looking. There is a list that you can get from the Sierra help pages which tells you all of the answers, but that's no fun. He gets short. This one I actually know. It's not too hard. I've heard this one before. If you think about it, what gets short when it gets old as time goes by and it's consumed more and more? And if it goes out, you'll become cold. I see 3 of the letters here. DLE. First, I left click on the tumbler to turn it. There are 4 letters. Okay, you don't go through the whole alphabet. That's right. There we go. It's a candle. Too many letters to be a touch. The chest thumped, satisfied the magical locks were released. Locklear tipped open the large wooden lid. Oh yeah. Whoa, this one's blessed. That's what that little Ankh cross symbol means. It's got a 10% damage bless on it. Racial mod means that the elf will get a little bit better usage out of it. Look at that money. Not yet convinced he should take the time to read over the missive's contents, Korath studied the yellowing parchment, but found nothing particularly outstanding about the ink in which it was printed or the cut of paper. Ooh, magical scroll. Scratched out of the scroll in painstakingly lucid detail was a magical spell which had been titled Flamecast. And Stardusk. There's not enough room. Now, I'm not sure how spells quite work as far as scribing. Although he could have wished for better circumstances under which to study it, Owen broke the scroll's wax seal and began to read. After an hour of laboring the difficult language, he was able to commit the incantation to memory. While the words on the parchment etched inedible patterns into his mind, indelible patterns in his mind, inedible. You can't eat that shit. The scroll grew brittle, then crumbled slowly between his fingers like sun-dried leaves. I've never even heard that word, indelible. So hopefully I got these spells now. Flamecast and Stardusk. Let's see what those do. We can go over all the spells really quick. So Flamecast is an area of fire damage. Does 1 to 20. Damage is 3 times the cost. Gotta have line of sight. Stardusk. That might be out of battle. To spread the eyes, blinds, invitation pulls the enemy towards you. Gift of Song heals. Scent of Serig. I believe that's a field spell as well. The Scent of Serig, you can see trapped questicles, trapped chesticles with it. And Stardusk, it creates some light. Cool. So I guess our light spell. Got some decent money now. All right, back on the road. Believe that's the place we visited in the last video. Alright, we got another riddle chest. And yes, I did find a couple maps that show me the locations of all the items, or at least most of the items, so we're going to make this a super thorough LP of uncovering all of it. Silently he stalks me, running as I run, creeping as I creep, dressed in black. He disappears at night, only to return with the sun. That is Shadow. S-H-A-D-O-W. That's my guess anyways. S-H-A. Yeah. Pretty sure that's Shadow. Okay, I'm not sure what's up with these missives. Have to look up what their purpose is. Maybe we can deliver them or turn them into someone. Looks like if you just have them in the inventory, you're using them. Eyes of Ishap. What does Eyes of Ishap do? I believe that is a battle spell. But maybe not. Sounds like a wizard eye spell. Oh, you can sense vessels, whatever that means. Maybe we can see dead people. Like the little shit kid in Sixth Sense. Fair enough. We could use some healing. Did I check out this thing? Oh, that's the field. That's right. Something had been buried under the dirt. The hole's not big enough to put a man in, so it's safe to assume it isn't a grave, Locklear said. Might be a secret cache of food or supplies. A potent medicinal aroma wafted from the herbal pack as Owen looked it over. Without opening it up, he was certain it contained the standard materials, alum and healer's alcohol. While he couldn't help regain lost strength, it would go a long way to increase the rate at which he was healed. Or we got straight up healing potions. Can we share these? Seems like a good idea. You guys are terrible at sharing. We walked past a lot of these chests, didn't we? Yeah. Good thing we did some backtracking. In all the world, none can compare to this tiny weaver. His deadly cloth, so silky and fair. Come on, guys. 3-year-old can figure this shit out. Maybe it's just because it's the beginning ones. Hopefully they get harder. Spider is the answer. Shelly shells, locky picks. All right, we're back to Yaban. Gorth pointed to the house. I don't know, Owen replied to an unasked question. I know it's not a relative's house. Good enough, Gorth said. Turning on his heels, he marched to the door and knocked lightly as Owen watched the street. After a few moments, a disheveled-looking man answered the door. They talked for a short while and discovered the man had spent the better part of the night trying to break into a laundry shop that had recently gone out of business. The owners closed up shop and never returned the suit of armor I was having cleaned. If you can get in there, it's all yours. I'm very tired. If you'll excuse me, I'd like to go to sleep. Certainly do. I'm assuming you're a lockpicker, right? 5%, maybe not. Locklear, the lockpicker, okay. So let's tag lockpicking. Yeah, that key worked, though. Oh, we've already been in here. There doesn't seem to be anyone about. Definitely not a good idea. This is my aunt's house. As much as I would enjoy the opportunity to explain why I'm traveling with the Mordhail, I think we should leave. I'm not sure there is a weapon shop here. Oh, here. Whoa, shit. Elven armor, 292. Look at this fucking prices on this stuff. I have 106 gold sovereigns. Yeah. I think this is where I can sell the Mordhails, though. 29 sovereigns and a royal. I don't know if I want to quite sell that. I could sell the extras, but I liked my blessed one. I got us some money. You're not doing it because I'm in the shop? Let me double check that. I already repaired it. Or it can't be repaired more. Oh! No, I'm dumb. I keep trying to use the hammer. I'm gonna have to get another whetstone here soon. Go, Gorath. It's your birthday. Look at this awesome shit. Elven armor, man. 292 gold. We should have some two-handed broadswords by the end of this chapter, I think, but Haggle. Down in Haggle Rock. Buy my price or get lost. Well, you didn't give me a chance. Alright, well, I'm going to keep two of these because I'm almost out. Weapon craft gone up to 56. Armor craft to 53. You can spend a lot of time fucking around in shops in this game. Let's keep exploring. This is where we started the game, right here. Let's head south this time. See what kind of trouble we can get into down here. This is where we found the original, the first Morty chest that was, die was the answer. So you'll notice we have health and we have stamina. Make sure everyone's build is correct. Someone was calling. Recognizing the lilt of the young voice, Owen turned and looked back down the road. A young squire that he had met at a party in Yaban was trudging behind them, a pack full of scrolls slung over his shoulder. The squire waved congenially at Owen, echoed the motion. "What do you think you're doing?" "We're trying to remain unnoticed. Damn!" Locklear muttered under his breath. "Oh, Locklear. It's going to be hard for me to automatically just fly between all the voices without reading ahead and figuring out who's saying what, so prepare to get these all fucked up. Try to behave as normally as possible. Since you know him, you handle him, Owen. And remember, Gorath's name is Thorgath," Owen finished, irritated. "I'm not a child, you know." Locklear whispered, "That remains to be seen." "I didn't expect to see you again quite so soon. I would have thought you all the way to Lamut by now." "Squire Philip." "Would have been if the Duchess hadn't insisted to introduce me to all her daughters. Amelia was the prettiest, I believe, though I think Catherine took quite a liking to you." "Catherine took a liking to everyone at the party. She's as fickle as her mother. She'll likely marry a condoin." What the fuck's a condoin? If she can find one not tied to a marital knot. "True enough. I say, I thought you were from Tyburn. Why are you taking this route home? Kind of a long way around, isn't it?" "Well, yes, but I meet up with my Uncle Locklear here, and my other friend here is an elf, Thorgath. They decided it would be nice for me to take a tour with them down to Hawks Hollow." "Down to Hawks Hollow. I hear it's lovely this time of year. What are you up to?" "I'm looking to cash in a reward, actually. When I was on my way up to Yaban last month, I found a chest in this area, but I couldn't pick the lock on the thing. I figured it wasn't meant to be, and I left off. Thing is, all through the Duchess' party, I couldn't help but think about it. I had a chest on the brain. I don't really care what's in it, but I have to pick the lock." "I'm afraid my senses of direction and distance are a bit off right now. We all had a bit to drink last night, and we're still trying to shake off the effects. Which way to the nearest place could we get cleaned up?" "Must have been quite a bender if you're that confused. Head straight south along the main road, and that will take you into Lamut. If you're looking for good food, the Blue Wheel is a solid wager, though I warn you, the surrounding food can be a bit spicy." "I, for one, could do with a little less sleeping on the ground. Any good inns you could recommend?" "Yeah, you have to sleep in inns to get your full stamina recovery. It's not going to happen when you're camping in a tent." "There's the Blue Wheel Inn in Lamut, or you might try the Dusty Dwarf in Hawks Hollow. I suppose if you really got desperate, you could try breaking into one of the abandoned houses out in that part of the country, but I can't sleep well in a house that may fall on top of me. Of course, it may well be that the people have moved out for good reasons. I've heard that several people south of L'Oreal moved out after a contagion began spreading near there." "Was anything left behind in any of these abandoned houses?" "Nothing of real value. Bits of food and a few cupboards, an occasional gold piece kicked beneath the foundation of the house. Lost items mainly. The majority of the places I visited had those unpickable locks. What are they called? Weber locks? Yes. They had a Weber locks installed, and so I couldn't get in." "I'm not certain, but I think I may have mislaid a very valuable belonging of mine." "I shouldn't worry about it. Depending on where you lost it, the chances are it'll still be there." Yes, things do seem to stick around and not disappear. Oh! A venturine. Uncorking the mouth of the ale Again, Locklear poured out a small portion of the gold-flecked liqueur into his palm and examined it. Named after a type of impure brown glass common in Rilanon, it was ideal resin to use on a crossbow strings when they begin to lose their cohesiveness. And a ration that seems safe. I don't think... There should be a chest over here somewhere. I don't think we got it in the first video. These fucking rocks are hard to navigate around when you're in first person. Yeah, we might have already got it. I don't see shit. I want to head to Lamut. The path turned. Locklear studied the road before them, saw it slithered into the distance like a giant snake before descending eventually into a large town. Lamut, Owen said. Do you think we should go in for supplies? In many ways, the town looked like something created on an alcoholic binge. Rude dwarven shacks smashed up against delicate elven shops, while weird Surani taverns grew from a press of kingdom-style dwellings. A sign outside the city gate had summed it up well. All who visit Lamut are equal, for Lamut is equally queer. Queer in the sense of being strange, young ones that don't know the true meaning of the word. Ah, we found a hidden cache here. Remember, use your tab key when you're in these town painting areas. So we have the inn, the shop, and something up there. Let's go to the inn first. Undoubtedly. Look at all these people we get to talk to. Holy tits. Undoubtedly the newest tavern in town. The Blue Wheel was sedate, almost sleepy in comparison with other Lamutinian shops. Inside, dark-skinned patrons slapped down hard-earned sovereigns in exchange for the Blue Wheel's exclusive imports from far-distant empire of the Suranaununununai. Owen struggled with the loot. As soon as he had begun to play, he felt he was not so much playing a song as he was wrestling a beast 100 times his size. Numerous times the song eluded him, slipped out of his reach, only to fall into an obscure pit. Out, out, out! The tavern keeper urged, yanking the loot from Owen's hand. Be glad this crowd isn't in a worse mood. Give them time to calm down, and you can come back, but only if you're coming back for food. Alright, we got kicked out. That's nice. The dwarf drew on his pipe. Languid smoke plumed from the old codger's mouth as he studied Locklear, Owen, and Gorath each in turn. Although he had long ago lost the use of his left eye to a Mordheld sword stroke, his right eye still burned brightly beneath his bushy eyebrows. Being as a dwarf ne'er forgets, as much as his own name I can recognize a strapping young man before me who last I saw was a boy. No slight intended, but I fear I don't recall the occasion. As like the rest of your human kin, none among ye can remember much past a week. If not for we canny dwarves, you would have forgotten that you had a kingdom at all. I fetched you out of a cellar along with a score of women folk at the Battle of Sethenholm. Don't you remember me, Loki? Dubal, of course. Glad to see you. I hadn't recognized you without the eye patch. What's a dwarf to do? I won this scratch fair and square, and I'll be a dragon's mother before I cover it up again. Shouldn't have done it so in the first place. Now I just sit here to jabber with that loon of the Sonari bartender and have me a few bears. Not much to do with the Macmordain Cadal and all collapsed. Brackner has been seen down there. They'll be offering a hefty reward for its slain. I might, if tradition holds, too. Something of a challenge, as they are fierce beasties, even by dwarven standards. I've heard tales of these creatures of stone. Thank you, Dubois. Let's talk to the barmaid. Oh yeah, she's got that goody good. What the fuck? Looked like he was flipping him a bird. The table was clean for them. Sitting down on a splintered bench across from a man, Locklear shared a bit of mercenary's bread as he listened to a story about a failed love affair with a married woman. As the story progressed from sentimental recounting to a drunken blubber, it became evident the man had no intentions of finishing the tale anytime soon. That's terrible, Locklear intoned around a mouthful of bread, his attention fixed instead on the wooden boards behind the mercenary's head. Awful. Tragic. Ah, there you are, the steward said, laying a heavy hand on Gorash's shoulder. Are you lads still going to help me carry in those bags like we talked about? Initially at a loss, but suddenly understanding they had been rescued, Locklear clapped his hands together. Yes, of course. If our drinking companion will forgive the absence. Blearily, the man looked up at them and nodded, waving for someone to come fill his cup. And we could sleep here at the inn as well. 5 sovereigns for the night. Though if you louse my beds, I'll charge you double. We turn you out at sunrise. Oh, and there's a chamber pot in the corner. No. Another time, Night Master, he said, rapping a knuckle. Yeah, we'll be back. Sumani clapped twice. Abruptly, the festive mood of the room died, the clink of goblets and scrape of plates falling silent as the bartender shuffled between benches to bow at Locklear's feet. Touching a gnarled fist to his forehead and then to his heart, he spoke somberly. Be welcome to the Blue Wheel Inn. May you find the drinks to your liking and the company of our patrons pleasurable. If there's anything our servants or I may do, you may only ask Sumani. Ah, honors to your house as well, Sumani. Am I correct in believing this is a drinking establishment? So it is. We serve many of your Midkemian drinks as well as a few from the Suranarian Empire as well. Perhaps I might interest you in a cup of kocha. Why'd you decide to come to Medkemia and open an inn anyway? Surely you'd get better business in Kilawan. I was not always a tavern keeper. As a soldier serving House Shinzawai under Earl Kasumi, I was trapped here when the Rift Gate was collapsed at the end of the Rift War. It was our belief that we would never again see our families in Suranuanai or the green skies of Kilawan again. But Surani warriors traditionally kill themselves if they are in danger of falling captive to the enemy. This is true, Lord, but the Earl informed us that we were forbidden to dispatch ourselves until given leave to do so by the Great One. I believe in Midkemia you would call such one a magician. Until such time, I content myself with running the Blue Wheel Inn. You said you were a soldier with the Surani forces. Would you be interested in teaching us some of your combat techniques? It would be my honor, Lord, but I will require a small fee for my services. If my armor were to be damaged, I'd be ill-prepared otherwise to pay for its repair. 75 sovereigns! You're asking a bit more than I had in mind. How much can it cost to repair armor? My armor is Surani, and more specifically, I would require someone of the house Shinzawai to repair it. It is the way of my world. I have heard that the permanent rift gate in Kilawan is located near here. I was hoping we could get a glimpse of it. There would be little to see at the moment. An internal conflict has arisen in the empire between House Akoma and House Anasati. The Assembly of Magicians have ordered a temporary interruption of transport between the empire and the kingdoms of the Isles until such a time the conflict is resolved. I have been assured the measure is temporary. If your armor was the same as mine, I'd suggest trying the garrison, but kingdom armor is made in a different way. I would think perhaps the dwarves and Macmordain Cadal would be of assistance. I understand from speaking to Dubal that the small ones are gifted when it comes to manufacturing of weapons and armor. Goodbye. I promise if I'm ever in Lamort again, I'll be sure to drop in for a bit of something to eat. The Fletcher's post had been constructed with elven sensibilities, within and without. Little, if anything, had been used in a manner that could be called scurrilous, and certainly nothing was merely decorative. Along the walls, the shop's array of arrows and other archery goods were finely displayed, and each thing seemed precisely in place. Oh yeah! Some crossbows. Copy of a work scribed by the 3rd year of the reign of King Liam, the first of a brother Falchiane, archer and friend. Yes, but what does it do? For 247 gold. I think I'm going to hold off on getting a crossbow, but these are pretty awesome looking. The garrison was impressive. Sitting high on the hill overlooking the moat, the military outposts had been constructed years earlier to head off a possible Morid Hill assault on the western border of the kingdom. They followed a road that snaked through the town up the rocky hill upon which the garrison sat. After speaking with sentries at the gate, they were led under the fortress's massive iron portcullis. Captain Belford stood at the entry as he entered the room. "It's good to see you once again, Locklear," he said, extending his hand. "I share the sentiment. What news have you?" "How is Earl Kasumi?" Locklear asked, as the men shook hands. They sat in the hard wooden chairs as Belford replied, "He's well, but he's off taking care of some business with a few new guards come through the rift from Kellowan. As for the rest of us, we're looking up for a group of grey warriors from Kellowan who slipped through the rift just before it closed." Locklear looked a little puzzled. King Liam and Emperor Ikendar granted the grey warriors freedom and new status in the kingdom? "Yes, but the agreement doesn't allow for the nationalization of stolen goods. Seems they may have absconded with a valuable ruby from Makala's entourage," said Belford. "Makala, the Serrani Great One?" Owen asked. Belford smiled. "Yes, he's been talking to Prince Arutha about establishing a permanent rift to encourage trade between the kingdom and Kellowan. He's really throwing his weight around trying to get his ruby back. If you should happen to come across it, bring it back here. He's offering a reward." They thanked him for information and left. And that wraps it up for this episode of Betrayal at Krondor. Stay tuned for more.